Tripod and light. Hello. This is my report on the beginning of the books. Yes it is, yes it is, yes it is, yes it is. Disclaimer. All my opinions are going to be my opinions, whether founded or not founded, and may upset some of the members of the class. So, be ready for that. I'm actually going to look at all 4 of the books, because why not? I got 10 minutes. I can do that. We're going to start with this one. I didn't like it, but let's look at the beginning. See what it has for us. A green and yellow parrot, which hung in a cage outside the door, kept repeating over and over, Elise Fonze, Elise Fonze, Sabrizzi! Which means, go away, for heaven's sake. Footnote tells me that, yeah. That's alright. He could speak a little Spanish, and also a language which nobody understood, unless it was the mockingbird that hung on the other side of the door, whistling its fluty notes out upon a breeze with madding attendants. Mr. Pontellier, unable to read his newspaper with any degree of comfort, arose from an expression and an exclamation of disgust. He worked down the gallery and crossed blah 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 blah. That's not that. From the very beginning of the book, you can tell that you're going to read a book with a lot of nothing. Lots of nothing. Very beginning, you can tell that it's going to be about marriage, and Edna and Mr. Pontelier's relationship, and Robert being there. So it's good. I guess Chopin sets up her style, and I don't want to talk about this book. Let's move on. Things fall apart. I don't have the book with me, so I got it off the internet. Okonkwo was well known throughout the 9 villages, and even beyond. His fame rested on solid personal achievements. As a young man of 18, he had brought honor to his village by throwing Amalizin the cat. Amalizin was a great wrestler who for 7 years was unbeaten from Mufabamha to Mumde. He was called the cat because his back would never touch the earth. It was this man that Okonkwo threw in a fight, which the old men agreed was one of the fiercest since the founder of their town engaged a spirit of wild for 7 days and 7 nights. So this book starts with Okonkwo being told as the great person in the tribe, like he does everything that everyone wants, and he's the best wrestler, which is real good for tribesmen. And then it goes right to describing Okonkwo's father, whose name escapes me. Unoka. Okonkwo's father, Unoka. And how he was a terrible tribesman, and how he wouldn't pay debts, and how the only thing he wanted to do was catch kites, and how he played an instrument, but that's all he did. And how he wasn't a very good tribesman. It's interesting because from the very beginning of the book, we know this relationship between Okonkwo and his father, and that relationship is the thing that defines the rest of the book. Like, the whole book is Okonkwo trying to get away from the image of his father and what his father represents and everything that his father has done. Everything that follows is just Okonkwo trying to protect his way of life by being a good tribesman. We also see at the very beginning that there's a little bit of tribal legend, you know, with the cat and never touching the back, and then there's that part about the founder of the village wrestling with a wild spirit for 7 days and 7 nights. It's good that Achibi includes this at the very beginning, because then we know that his whole book is kind of going to be like a mismatch of Okonkwo's story and proverbs from the Igbo society, and that kind of mix is going to define the story. And at the very beginning, you can tell that everything is like good and together. I mean, it starts out telling you about Okonkwo's greatest achievement, which is throwing what's-a-face the cat all apart, and as the book progresses, Okonkwo's way of life slowly falls apart, and, you know, the whole tribe is kaput. Starting with the most put together and greatest example of how Honko was a good tribesman is the best way, because then it starts from up here and just plummets all the way through the book. The road. Chapter 1. When he awoke in the woods in the dark and the cold of the night, he reached out to touch the child sleeping beside him. The nights dark beyond darkness and the days more grey each one than would have gone before, like the onset of some cold glaucoma dimming away the world. His hand rose and fell softly with each precious breath. He pushed away the plastic tarpaulin and raised himself under stinking robes and blankets, and looked toward the east for any light, but there was none. And then it goes on to describe a dream where there's a monster in a cave, and we're not really sure what the monster represents. It could represent the world that they are in, the post-apocalyptic world, or it could represent the child, or the father, or evil, or good. Two important things are established within the first couple pages of this book. One is the relationship between the father and the son. It is integral to the father's life and the son's life. Yes, the relationship between the father and the son is defined right away. There's no space, like they are together forever until death do them part. Because it is the main goal of Cormac McCarthy to explore his relationship between him and his son, with the father in the book and the son in the book, like that's why he wrote the book. Even if the reader doesn't get that out of it, it's why he wrote the book, because that is the goal, to explain relationships and how the world will be if a disaster happens. It's good that he defines his relationship right away, because he wants to show like how people react to terribleness in their life. Cormac McCarthy does a weird thing by including this here story about the monster in the cave, because it's really surreal and nothing else in the book is surreal. Like, it's all surreal in the way that it would never really happen in the world as we know it, at least. But it's like reality and everything is plausible, while this monster in the cave is kind of like out of someone's imagination and weird. And we never see that again in the book, which is a weird... I don't know why he did that. Maybe it was because it gives the reader like a example for what the father and the son feel with this crushing like world upon them is like the monster, and how they need to escape the monster and they need to escape this crushing post-apocalyptic world, but they can't. Cormac McCarthy wants to give the reader an emotional response that the father and the son feel by making the reader scared of this monster. That's the road. This is Disgrace. It won a Nobel Prize. Look at that. It won a Nobel Prize. What do you know? I didn't know that. I read the whole book and I didn't know that. So the very first sentence of this book is as follows. For a man of his age, 52, divorced, he has, to his mind, solved the problem of sex rather well. That's so good. That's what the book starts out with. The whole book is about how the main character, what's his face? I'm real good with names. I'm real good with names. Lurie, David Lurie. Mr. David Lurie. The whole book is about how David Lurie can't, like, get past sex and, like, what it is in his mind. You know, like, when he sort of rapes Melanie, and then, like, has sex with a lot of prostitutes, and then with that old girl at the animal shelter, and then, like, with everyone. The whole book is him trying to escape or completely live in, depending on what time the book is, his idea of what sex is, and having him say that he figured it out already is just like the best, because he totally thinks he has it figured out. It perfectly sets up what David Lurie thinks about himself, and then like kind of makes the reader think, oh yeah, he probably has it figured out. And then for the rest of the book he doesn't, after that line. On Thursday afternoons, he drives to Greenpoint. Punctually at 2 p.m., he presses the buzzer at the entrance to Windsor Mansion, speaks his name and enters. Waiting for him at the door of number 113 is Soraya. He goes straight to the bathroom, which is pleasant-smelling and softly lit, and undresses. Soraya emerges from the bathroom, drops her robe, slides into bed beside him. "Have you missed me?" she asks. "I miss you all the time," he replies. He strokes her honey-brown body, unmarked by the sun. He stretches her out, kisses her breasts. They make love. Oh, well. This guy's having sex already. Basically, that book is an exploration of what human nature is through sexual activities and events, including the rape of Mrs. Daughter Person Lori and Melanie and everyone else. Everyone in the book has sex. Everyone in the book has sex. The purpose of the very beginning of that book is to put the reader in the mindset of David Laurie so that they can be totally shaken from it for the rest of the book. Perhaps my analysis were not that in depth of the beginnings of these books, but I do think that I hit at least one point in all of them fairly well, and I did 4 instead of 2, so baby, you and me, we'll be together forever. I'm a weird man. I don't know how much of that is gonna make it into the final cut.